Hello everyone, I am Nivedita Rajan and I am the faculty for the sports psychology course along with two of my other colleagues. Before we start the course, I'd like to just give a brief introduction about myself. Theory and practical knowledge enrich the learning and understanding of subject and a concept. A blend of both is necessary in order to understand a particular topic. I started off as a sportswoman during my time, playing at the highest level for the country and also captained the Karnataka state on many occasions. And this gave me wide exposure to the challenges, the competition environment and all the skills that are required to become a champion. I was aware at that point of time as a player that there was not much awareness about the psychological concepts that are play in sports. That's because sports psychology had just started in the country, and using these experiences, I knew that if I could become a subject expert, I could contribute and give back to the sport. So this led me to do my MPhil in clinical psychology and sports psychology and also pursue my PhD so that I could be a subject expert and offer my knowledge to the others. I was also aware that these credentials could help me in many ways, and this led me to become an academician, and I was able to teach at the college at premier educational institutions like Mount Carmel College, Bangalore, and also at the Jain University and the PES University, because today sports psychology is becoming an emerging field and there are a lot of young people who are interested in pursuing the sport. I have also had the opportunity of seeing sports from the other side as a coach. I am one of the co-founders of a premier basketball academy in Bangalore called the Burn Basketball Academy, where we impart grassroots level training to youngsters in the age group 9 to 14 years. This grassroots level training helped me to understand the psychological factors that are in play in sports and also helped me to give back to the young athletes many psychological factors that could help them in their sports performance. I was also able to use these experiences as a coach to become a sports parent to two of my daughters who are international players in basketball and also in tennis. It helped me in mentoring them and also in helping them to prepare mentally and be strong in their sports performance. All these experiences have helped me to give back something to the game by being a consultant sports psychologist. As a consultant sports psychologist, I have worked with premier academies in Bangalore. I have worked with the prestigious Prakash Padukone Badminton Academy for more than a decade and worked with lots of individual players and team sports in various disciplines like tennis, basketball, athletics, swimming, 10-pin bowling and even professional boxing. And today, as I am here before you, I am here as having a role, playing many roles as a sportswoman, as an academician, as a coach, as a sports parent and as a consultant sports psychologist. I bring all these experiences into this course and as a faculty member. So let's quickly move on to what we will be learning in the next few modules that I will be teaching you. I will be teaching you module 3, module 4 and module 5. So this module, module 3, we will be talking about psychological skills training and goal setting. The brief session outline would look like this. We will have an introduction into psychological skills training, what is the definition and what is the importance, what are the myths about PST and what are the phases an athlete goes through in order to learn these skills. We have a few exercises and then after the PST program, we will move into the goal setting in sports, what are the types and also an exercise to help you understand the concept. To basically start about psychological skills training, let us look at this scenario which is very important to give an understanding. Ram, a tennis player, has got a high percentage of first serves. Every serve he serves in practice, he is able to serve an ace. However, shifting from the practice situation to a match situation in a tennis match, Ram, the player is serving for the match, he is 5-4 up in the second set, he has already won the first set and in the second set he is up 40-30, so he is actually serving for the game or the match. But nothing should technically go wrong because everything is in flow for him. He ends up double faulting, and this makes him lose the second set, and after losing the second set, the third set he is unable to play to his full potential, and finally he ends up losing the match. So, the question here is, why is it that somebody who is able to do his first serves and even serve aces in practice is unable to do it in a competitive situation? Sports refers to any kind of physical activity where there is physical exertion and skill in which individuals compete with each other either individually or as a team. Given the nature of sports today and the way it is evolved, sports, which was largely seen as a physical activity, is now also being understood that there is a mental component to it. So, emphasis should be given to the mental aspect of the mental training. Research says that sports is 80% mental and 20% physical, because when two people who are physically fit and physically at the same level, the one who uses the mind better is the one who emerges as the champion. So, over a lot of research that has been done, the psychologists have developed many mental training skills, and psychological skills training or the PST training is developed especially to assist athletes. And like there is a popular phrase that is said that you can train all you want with your body, but if you do not train your mind, then you will not be able to succeed. So, this is how psychological skills training is very important. And we can also say that parents, coaches, wards, etc., should all understand that it is important to devote time for their mental training. Like if you take the example of the scenario that we just saw about the tennis player, serving for the match is a very crucial situation. Why did the tennis player default? Why did he double fault? It could, more than giving emphasis to the physical aspect, let us look at the mental aspect, where it could be that momentarily he lost his concentration. He was probably citing victory, instead of focusing on the present, the tennis player was focusing on the future, or he could have felt there could have been some issue about his confidence, or so the mental aspect overplayed the physical aspect. So, that is why the tennis player defaulted and was not able to clinch the second set and the match. So, what is PST? Okay. As the definition that is given, it is a systematic and consistent method of practicing the psychological or mental skills purely for the purpose of enhancing sports performance. So, why is it saying that it is a systematic and a consistent method? That is because it has to be done in a step by step approach. The athlete has to have exposure and knowledge about the particular skill. It has to be consistent because it has to be practiced over a period of time before they can actually acquire the psychological skill, and it is these PST skills are basically to enhance the sports performance. It is also said that if athletes practice their psychological skills on a regular basis, it leads to enjoyment in sports, and most of all, as research says, it leads to enhancement in sports performance. So, this is about what PST or how psychological skills is defined. Why is PST important? Before we understand these concepts that are put here on the screen, I will just take you back for a moment to ask you this question. India has produced so many iconic players. Okay? Let us take the example of Leander Paes, legendary tennis player. Let us take the example of Sachin Tendulkar, our cricket icon, MS Dhoni, PV Sindhu, our badminton icon, and who is currently performing so well. What do all these people have in common, right? So, we all know that they have represented India at the World Championships, they have won medals, they have won titles, they have participated in Commonwealth Games, they have participated in Asian Games, they have participated in the Olympics. What more? What is common among all these people? The most important is all these people have great mental skills which they have developed over a period of time, practicing it, and this has helped them to take on the competitive stress and also to handle the competition pressures. So, looking at these athletes, we can definitely say that mental training is such an important aspect. All athletes, in their sporting career or in their sporting matches or in any games that they play would have faced some kind of a mental letdown, or where they were not being able to play up to their optimum level. So, let us look at the first point here, walking off a playing field disappointed after losing. We have seen so many times on TV and even watch these matches in real life. Well, let us take cricket, right? You are supposed to go there onto the field and help your team score some runs so that you could help them to win the match, but it ends that you get bowled or you get caught in the field, and you have to walk back to the to the dressing room, and you are so disappointed, and you feel dejected, and you are so upset with what you have done, or you felt anxious during a competition, right? You are unable to focus, you are not able to play your real game, inability to concentrate on the field. So, momentary lapses in the field can cause so many changes in sports performance, right? Like if we take the example of the scenario that we just talked about in the beginning slide, why did the tennis player not serve that one ace, or why didn't he just have a normal serve which would help him to win the game? Why did he have to double fault, or feeling choked at a critical point in a competition? So, choking concept usually happens when you are having a good streak, you are having a good momentum, you are playing very well, but suddenly something goes wrong and you are not able to continue that momentum, you lose the momentum, and you start making a lot of mistakes in your sport, and there are situations where you can never recover or come back into the game. Sometimes you may even lose the game, or you have experienced a sports injury where you have not recovering fast enough as you expected to get back into the playing field. So, all these scenarios are experienced in some intensity by all players who are playing at the competitive level. So, mental letdowns are a part and parcel of sporting events. So, this is why we can say that PST, or the psychological skills training, is so important for athletes in order to help them to perform better. However, there are some myths or some misunderstanding or some concepts which do not explain or which stop people from undertaking the psychological skills training, and this we call as the myths. The first one, as we see on screen, is it says that psychological skills training is only for problem athletes. So, if an athlete has got some psychological issue, etc., it can be dealt by a clinical psychologist, but normally most of the athletes, research says, who are under the normal functioning range can benefit from the psychological skills training. It's only the second point, it's only for elite athletes or only for people who are in elite training. Now, that is not true. Any athlete who's participating in a competitive level, whether they are at intermediate level, whether they are at sub-elite level, professional, all can undergo the psychological skills training. The third aspect is PST provides quick fix solutions. So, friends, I would like to say that PST is not a magic pill, right? It is not like you have some muscle pull or you have some muscle pain and you take a ibuprofen and the next day or in the next 2 hours you are all right. So, PST program or the skills that we teach have to be practiced and have to be integrated into the training program. That is when we can see the benefits. So, and the last one, it is not useful. Well, research says that PST is a very useful tool, and it can, athletes who are using this all over the world reiterate, and they are confidently saying that PST programs really help them. So, with the myths, we move on to the next aspect, which is a very interesting concept actually. How can athletes actually assess their sports performance and to know whether they are in the flow mode or whether they are having a problem, or how exactly are they performing? So, Ken Ravisa, one of the top psychologists, used the traffic light example to help explain how one can see their sports performance. So, you have 3 lights, you have the green light, you have the yellow or the orange light, and then you have the red light. I am sure all of us have seen a traffic light, right? So, the green light is a go signal, right? So, that indicates that athletes are performing well, they are in autopilot mode, they are cruising, they have no issues, they have no problems in their sports performance, and psychologically and mentally also they are at in a momentum state. Then you have the yellow or the orange light, of course, which is like a warning, which says that as an athlete you are struggling to cope with some mental issue or some psychological aspect that is bothering you. So, it is like a warner saying, hey, you need to slow down, you need to see what you need to do. Then you have the red light. Okay, of course the red light says stop, right? That is how even in the traffic signal, when the red light is there, you need to stop yourself. So, red light is an indicator that you as an athlete are in trouble and you need to move out from the competition, work on your psychological skills or work on your mental skills, come back and then restart your activity, and because it needs more of the coping strategies which an athlete can use. So, if you look at all these three lights and then go back to why PST is important, athletes do not have to wait for being either in a yellow light or in a red light to undergo the psychological skills training. Even an athlete who is in the green light and cruising well needs to be aware of the PST program or the PST skills, because this will help them to continue their performance to a larger extent without being bothered by any kind of setbacks that they face in sport. So, yellow light or the red light are clear indicators that you need to work on your skills or your mental skills in order for you to not have any stoppage in your performance or have any kind of performance that gets lowered. So, I think this clearly explains that why traffic lights analogy or traffic light example suits the understanding of a sports performance for an athlete. So, having understood what are the myths, why it is important, what does PST involve, right? What does psychological skills involve? So, it basically, as we had already discussed, if you learn the key psychological methods and skills. And what do we learn in this? Okay. So, up on your screen you have goal setting, you have confidence building, you have developing good concentration, how to use imagery, a key cognitive skill, and you also have arousal regulation. So, goal setting, right. So, no athlete in sport can continue or pursue a sport or see any kind of performance improvement unless they set a goal for themselves. And the second aspect is confidence. Okay. Self confidence is the key concept for sports performance. If you have issues with your confidence, then we need to work on it, because athletes many a time are very skilled physically in terms of their sport skill technique or even in the tactical knowledge, but their confidence level kind of drops because they make one or two errors and they think that they are not good enough. So, how do we build the confidence? Then you have concentration, key aspect in sports, because sometimes you need to have very good reaction time, you need to make quick decisions, and you need to also show that you are a champion in crux situations where your contribution is very important in the sport. Imagery, a key cognitive skill, involves simulating real life sporting images in our brain, and by seeing ourselves performing, athletes can help themselves to better their performance and also get over certain small mental blocks that they have in terms of skill and in terms of the game. Finally, arousal regulation. As you all know, when we are tensed or when we are stressed or when we are in critical situation in a sport, the body gets aroused. So, you have a lot of physiological arousal in terms of increased of heartbeat, pulse rate, and your blood pressure rising, etc. Then your breathing rate increases. So, in PST we provide information and knowledge, and we educate the athlete about how they can regulate this arousal by being calm, by being relaxed, by using relaxation technique and the breathing technique. So, these are the gamut of activities or skills that we use in the PST program. The PST program is a very effective program, and once athletes are into the program, they are really appreciate its importance and its usefulness. Now, how is PST skills taught to the athlete, or how can an athlete learn these skills? So, there are three phases that we normally go through when we want to introduce an athlete to the psychological skills program. So, you have the education phase, we have the acquisition phase, and then we have the practice phase. The education phase is very self-explanatory. We educate the athlete, we give them information about what is PST or the psychological skills, how it is helpful, how it can be used, in what situations it can be used, and what is its total importance. This can be done, individually, or it can be done even as a group session if you're working with a team. And if it is in the acquisition phase is where we help the athlete actually learn the skills. So if it is like having to control your arousal, like you get tense and you get stressed and you get anxious, then we teach the athlete how to relax themselves. The relaxation technique and the breathing technique, etc., is taught to the athlete. Coming to the practice phase, okay, so the practice phase is where the real skills that have been acquired or learned by the athlete is put into practice. The practice phase is helpful because firstly it helps to simulate whatever they have learnt in the practice into the competitive settings, and it also helps the athlete see if these skills are effective in the practice and they are able to implement it into the competitive situations. So these three phases are very important and vital, and the athlete has to go through that. Once the athlete learns this, then they can implement into the competitive phase. So before we draw an end to the psychological skills training session, I have a small exercise for you, and there are three items here, or three statements here which you need to answer. So you can probably take a 30 seconds to 1 minute to go through that and answer this. So the first one is, systematic and consistent method of practicing psychological or mental skills is dash. You need to fill in the blank. The second one, what do these signals indicate about the athlete? That is the green signal and the orange or the yellow signal. And the last one, PST provides quick fix solution. Is it true or is it false? So take a few seconds. So we'll just quickly have the answers here. So the first one is PST, or the psychological skills program or psychological skills training. What do these signals indicate about the athlete? The green signal indicates that the athlete is cruising or autopilot, that is, he does not have to think much about his performance, it happens automatically. And the orange or the yellow light indicates that the athlete is having some issues. Okay. So, the athlete is having some issues. And the third statement, PST provides quick fix solution. Is it true or is it false? Of course, it is false, or because as I told you, it is not a magic pill. It needs to be learned, it needs to be practiced and then integrated into your sporting activities. So, I hope this is clear. So, this brings end to the session on psychological skills training. We are discussing two very important psychological skills in sports in the same session, but in the next aspect, that is the goal setting. Okay, goal setting in sports. Before we talk about goal setting in sports, we have here Priyanka Prabhakar, a very renowned sports psychologist, who will be giving her views on what is PST and what is the importance of PST.
Hello everyone, I am Priyanka, and today I will be talking about the importance of psychological skills training program for athletes. Specifically, I will be talking about the importance of goal setting and imagery skills training program. I think goal setting definitely helps and encourages athletes to be more consistent with achieving their particular long term goals. So athletes really learn a lot, especially in terms of how they can actually sustain and achieve their long term goals through daily practices, and by setting daily goals, monthly goals, and also quarterly goals, annual goals, and then they will be able to achieve the performance goals. And personally, I have used goal setting and imagery both in order to help athletes achieve their peak performance, and I have seen that through both the psychological skills training program, athletes are able to relax better, they are more confident in their everyday life, they are also able to visualize what they actually want to achieve, their energies are actually focused on what they want to achieve, and that really helps them to remain consistent and be more aware of their own potential. So I think the psychological skills training program provides a structured way of achieving what an athlete really desires to achieve. And yeah, I hope you really understand the benefits of psychological skills training program with this. Thank you.
So, the first psychological skill that we are going to learn is goal setting in sports. Okay. So, let me ask you this question. Have you dared to dream? Have you envisioned a future for yourself? Have you been asked, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? By your coach, by your mentor, or by your parent? Or have you even thought about what you want next in your sports? What does all this imply? This implies that we need a sense of direction and we need a roadmap in our journey to succeed. And that is why goal setting is so important. So, what is a goal? Something you set for yourself on achieving. It is a target, or it is a milestone, or it is even a path that you tread on. So, in this picture, we see the athlete during her strength and condition using a pulley machine to pull herself up. And when I was talking to the athlete, she told me that it took a few months for her to be able to pull up to the level that what she is now, and she is still working on it. So, a goal is something that you set for yourself and you work towards it. If she didn't have this goal, then probably she would not been able to do to the extent that she's been able to do at this point of time. I would also like to give you a few examples about why goals are so important. Let us take the example of PV Sindhu, our badminton icon. She won the silver medal at the Rio Olympics in 2016. After winning that, she did not rest. She came back in 2020 in the Tokyo Olympics to win the bronze. Why is it that an athlete who has already won an Olympic title has worked herself way into another Olympic championship or an Olympic games to win the bronze medal? Okay. So, when you achieve at such a high level, why is it that you come back in order to achieve again and to win again? So, because goal setting is an important aspect, it serves two very vital functions, motivation and cognition. And without motivation, we cannot achieve any of our goals. And this has been proved by PV Sindhu by her winning 2 Olympic medals for India, the silver and the bronze medal. So, motivation is a drive, it is an energy that pushes us forward, it's an aspect that makes us move towards something that we want to achieve. So, motivation is very necessary if we want to achieve our goal. And the second aspect is cognition. Okay. Cognition is nothing in a simple terms, it is all about the thinking that we do, right. It is the thinking, the analyzing, the reasoning, how do we structure ourselves, etc. To help us understand this, let us take the example of Lance Armstrong. As you all know, Lance Armstrong was a cycling champion. He won the Tour de France from 1999 to 2005, and he was also diagnosed with cancer. So, each year after winning the title, he and his team worked together in order to set goals for the next championship. So, the Tour de France is a very grueling cycling tour. It covers some 3,500 kilometers, going into the mountains and ending up in Paris finally. So, why is it that once you win once, why is it that you want to win another time? Why is it that you push yourself? Why do athletes push themselves? It's all about being motivated, and along with motivation, you also need to think what you need to do in order to be able to achieve your goal. So, in the words of Weinberg, he defines goal setting as what an individual is consciously trying to do. Let us also look at some of the goals that are in play. Okay. So, here on the screen we have some general types of goals. You have the career goals, you have the long term goals, you have the medium term goals and the short term goals. So, many times when I ask athletes what are the goals in sports, they usually come up with long term goals, career goals, mid term and short term goals. So, career goals are goals that you set for life, right. a typical career goal for any Indian athlete would be to win the Olympics or to represent India at Asian Championship or Commonwealth Games. If it is a coach, it would be like, I have to, my ward has to, or my player has to represent the country, or I have to, build a champion in the next 5 years. For an athlete, it could be I want to play professional in the next 5 years, or I want to play till I am 35 years of age, etc. Long term goals are goals which you do for a period of 3 to 5 years, which will help you to, kind of see where you're going. Medium term goals are anything ranging between between 2 to 3 years. And finally, you have the short term goals. Short term goals are very important, though not much emphasis is given to that, but short term goals are the goals that help you to reach your long term goals. So, the short term goals are goals that you can set anything from 15 days to even 3 months, because short term goals, when achieved, will help you to, reach that particular milestone. But in sports, we talk about 3 goals that are very important. And because in sports, we are talking about serious business, right? We are not talking about New Year resolutions. Every year, December 31st and 1st of January, everybody sets New Year resolutions, and I have to hit the gym, I have to practice more, I have to lose weight, I have to increase my, strength, these kind of things. But the New Year resolutions are more like a joke. They last for 1 day or 2 days. They don't go beyond it, because it's like a fun type of a goal that athletes, or even generally, we set in for ourselves. Sports is serious business, right? So, because you're investing so much of your time and you want to see results. So, the 3 goals that are important in sports are, you have the outcome goals, the performance goals, and you have the process goals. Outcome goals, as the word itself specifies, it talks about the end result of a competition, end result of a match. What happens when 2 people play? What is the end result is an outcome goal. Performance goals are goals which athletes set for themselves, right? My performance has to be this in my tennis game. My performance has to be, in a cricket, my performance should be scoring 20 runs. If it is swimming, my performance goal has to be that I have to be under a particular timing. And finally, you have the process goals. Process goals talk about the process, right? The process involved to reach your goal. So, it talks more about the skill and the technique that the athlete employs during their performance. It could be like, if I am doing a serve in tennis, am I extending my arm right? Is my point of contact of the racket and the ball correct? So, these are all the processes or the skills that the athlete looks forward when they are executing in a game. So, let us look at what these 3 types of goals stand for, okay, or what do they mean. So, let us go a little bit more into depth. Outcome goal focuses on the end result, okay, that is the end of the game, and there is always interpersonal comparison. So, when 2 people compete, you are always trying to outwit the other, who is going to be better than the other. So, a typical example would be win a basketball game or win a gold medal in the 100 meters race. But friends, the most important thing about outcome goal is it is outside one's control. We have no control about whether we are going to win or whether we are going to lose, because that particular day the opponent may play better than you, or the weather or external factors may not support you if it's an outdoor event, or maybe there could be some calls or some kind of decisions in the game which you do not accept, and as a result you are not able to play at your potential level. So, this is the outcome goals. Then you have the performance goal. So, performance goals are basically performance standards set by the athlete. It's your personal achievement based upon your experience and the level of game and how you have been playing in your practice matches. Athletes can set performance goals for the match or even for the competition. So, if you are serving 5 aces in your tennis practice, then your performance standard will be serve 5 aces in a tennis match. If you are consistently scoring 25 or 30 runs in your cricket practice as a batsman, you can set a goal of scoring 25 runs in a particular match. The important thing about performance goal, it's in the control of the athlete, because you set the standards, you make the benchmark for yourself. And it is said that if you achieve your goal of 5 aces in a tennis match or even 25 runs in a cricket match, your outcome goal can be met. So, there is a likelihood that your performance can contribute to victory, and even if you do not win the match or win the game, you know that you have achieved the benchmark or the standard or the goal that you have set for yourself. So, it leads to personal satisfaction. Finally, we have the process goals. Like I said in the beginning of understanding the three types of goals, it focuses on the specific techniques that we employ during performance. So, I have given an example here of a swimmer. When swimming a freestyle stroke, has to make sure that her arm is stretched long enough for her to pull into the water so that they can move forward. Or if it is, you can even take a basketball match where or a basketball game where a athlete is practicing her shots, either it's a 3-pointer or even a free shot. How is the ball held? And how is the release of the ball, what should be the trajectory of the ball, how much flight the ball should have, is all coming under the domain of process goals. And the process goals, because it focuses on the technique part, it's in one control, because you go into a competitive sport or go into competitive play only when you know for sure that you are technically sound or you're technically very good. So, it is in our control, and once you are able to match your or work on your process goal, there is a likelihood that you can also reach your outcome goal. We will just have a video here from J.U. Anderson, who is a cricket player, about his views about
Hi, I'm
goal
J.U.
setting.
Anderson, and I'm a professional Ranji Trophy cricketer, and I've recently played the prestigious Professor Deodhar Trophy tournament, which is considered as the highest limited overs cricket domestic tournament in India.
What are his views on goal setting?
Goal setting is something really important to me personally, as it is something you set for yourself to achieve over a period of time. It can be short-term, mid-term or long-term goals. As it is very easy to get carried away, especially when you're playing cricket. There are a lot of distractions. So goal setting helps me to be motivated and helps me to set higher standards for myself and aim higher.
So, the last few slides we talked about the different types of goals that are used by athlete in sports. So, we have an exercise here. There are 8 statements, and each of these statements indicate whether they are an outcome goal, performance or a process goal. So, I would like you to take a few minutes, read each of the statement and write at the end of the statement whether it is outcome, performance or process goals. So, the first statement, winning the gold medal at the university games. Second, scoring 20 runs in a cricket match. The third question is working on shooting skills in basketball. The fourth one is serving aces in a tennis game. So, winning the gold medal at the university games, because it is the end result of a competitive situation, it will be an outcome goal. I will just write the abbreviated O. The second question is scoring 20 runs in a cricket match. It is a personal standard or a benchmark that is set by a cricket player. So, it will be a performance goal. Working on shooting skills in basketball involves technique, right. So, it is a process goal. The fifth one, serving 5 aces in a tennis game, is again a personal standard that is set by the tennis player. So, it is a performance goal. I hope that this has given you a clear understanding about what is an outcome goal, what is a performance and a process goal. We have 4 more statements which we need to answer. Collecting 10 rebounds in a basketball match, winners of the volleyball match, working on my strides in running and winning the first set in a badminton match. You can just take a few seconds to recollect your thoughts and work out on the answer. So, let us quickly come back to the answers. Collecting 10 rebounds in a basketball match is again a performance standard set by the basketball player. So, it will be a performance goal. Winners of the volleyball match, again winning is related to the end result of a game for which we have no control. So, it will be an outcome goal. Working on my strides in my running or in my race is again it's involving technique. So, it will be a process goal. And the last one, winning the first set in a badminton match. So, as you know, badminton usually 2 sets are played. If each athlete wins a badminton set each, then it goes on to the third set. So, winning again is an end result. So, that is an outcome goal. So, I hope with these 8 statements, you have a clear understanding of what is an outcome goal, what is a performance goal, and what is a process goals. So, there is a slide here with also the answer. So, you can also refer to this in order to understand if in case if there is any doubt. Finally, to end this session, we do a recap of whatever that has been learned in this during this period. So, the first one we learned was the PST skills. What is PST skills? Okay. So, it is a consistent and systematic method of practicing the psychological skills for improving sports performance. Why do we need it? Because athletes have different types of mental setbacks, and in order to encounter or overcome these kind of setbacks, the athlete needs to learn the PST skills. There are 4 myths about the PST program. It is for problem athletes, it is only for elite athletes, it provides quick solution, and it is also not useful. We learned that how these myths can be disproved. Then you have the phases through which the athlete acquires the PST skills. You have the education phase, the acquisition phase, and then you have the practice phase. And finally, in the second part, we talked about the types of goals. Firstly, what is goal setting, why goal setting is important, and goal setting involves motivation and cognition, that are the key components, and the 3 types of goal: outcome goal, which specifies the end result of a sporting event; performance goals are performance standards that are set by the athlete; and finally, we have the process goals, which talks about the skill and working on your technique, which are very important for sports performance. So, this brings us to the end of session 1, where we talked about the psychological skills training and the types of goals. We will be continuing about goal setting and understand various other aspects in the session 2. Thank you.